The sky burned red as Captain Jace ran across the broken ground. Holding the small alien girl close to his chest, smoke rose everywhere, and the air smelled of fire and metal. Explosions shook the earth behind him. But he did not stop. He could not stop. Not today. Not when the whole galaxy seemed to be hunting the child in his arms. Her name was Lyra. She looked like a young human girl. Maybe 10 years old, but her skin carried a soft blue glow. Her eyes were silver like moonlight, and small sparks of light moved inside them whenever she cried. And today, she was crying more than ever. Jace reached the edge of a ruined forest and placed her on her feet. "Lyra, listen to me," he said in a low voice, trying not to show his fear. "We have to keep moving." But Lyra shook her head, tears falling down her glowing cheeks. "You're not my real father," she screamed with a sharp cry that echoed across the dead forest. The moment her voice rose, a powerful pulse of light burst out of her chest. The trees around them bent as if hit by a storm. Jace stepped back, shocked by her sudden power. He had seen this energy before, but never this strong, never this wild. "Lyra? Stop, please," he whispered. But it was too late. Her scream had been heard. Her energy had been felt. The pulse of light shot up into the sky like a beacon. In the far distance, 3 different shapes began to appear in the clouds. 3 massive armies, each from a different alien race, were now moving toward them. The Krell ships created long shadows with their dark metal wings. The Vorn floated forward like giant stones in the air, and the Sarati glided across the sky like silver birds with sharp armor. All of them were coming, all of them for her. Jace pulled Lyra close again and dragged her into a broken cave nearby. Inside, the air was cold and damp. He pushed aside fallen rocks and found a small passage behind them. "Inside," he whispered. Lyra hesitated but followed him, wiping her tears. Her small hands shook with fear and confusion. As they crawled deeper, the sound of alien engines filled the sky above. Jace's heart beat fast. He could almost feel the armies searching for them. He imagined scanners sweeping the forest, soldiers spreading out, weapons ready, all because of the girl he had raised like his own child. Lyra stopped suddenly and turned to look at him. Her silver eyes glowed softly in the dark tunnel. "Why do they want me?" she asked in a trembling voice. Her question cut through Jace like a blade. He wished he could lie. He wished he could tell her she was safe. But the truth was far darker, and she was old enough to feel it, old enough to know something was wrong. "I don't know," he said softly. He did know. But it was a truth he had kept hidden for years. A truth he feared would break her heart, or even worse. Unlock power she could not control. Lyra sniffed and wiped her face with the back of her glowing hand. "Why did you save me?" she whispered. Jace felt his throat tighten. He placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Because you needed me," he said. "And because no child should grow up alone." Lyra looked down. Confused and sad, she didn't fully understand his words. But she felt his care. She always had. Even when she was angry, she knew he protected her, still. Something in her heart was changing. Something heavy and frightening. Behind them, the ground shook as something large landed above the cave. Jace quickly moved forward, guiding Lyra deeper until they reached a wider space underground. The cave opened into an old tunnel that looked ancient. Strange symbols covered the walls, glowing faintly as Lyra walked past them. Jace stared at the lights, shocked. The symbols reacted to her. Only her. He had always feared this moment. The moment her true nature would start waking. Lyra stepped closer to the glowing symbols and touched one with her fingertips. A soft hum filled the air. The ground stopped shaking. The cave lights changed to a calm blue color. Lyra's eyes widened. "What is this place?" she asked. Jace swallowed hard. I think it's meant for you, he whispered, before Lyra could say another word. A loud metallic roar echoed through the tunnels. Jace grabbed her hand tightly and pulled her behind a large stone pillar. Voices came from above, alien voices, cold, sharp, and hunting. They were inside the caves now. The armies had arrived, and they were close, very close. Lyra clung to Jace's arm as he held her protectively. Her breathing shook, and her small body trembled. Jace looked into her silver eyes and whispered, "We will survive this." But even he wasn't sure. Behind them, a sudden flash of red light filled the tunnel. The first group of soldiers had found the entrance. Their shadows stretched across the cave walls like monsters. Their weapons glowing with deadly power, Jace pulled Lyra back. His voice barely a whisper. "They found us." And the real danger was only beginning. The cave trembled again as heavy footsteps echoed through the tunnels. Jace held Lyra close and moved deeper into the darkness. His eyes kept searching every shadow, every corner. He knew the soldiers were trained to hunt in tight spaces like this. He knew they would not stop until they captured her. Lyra's soft blue glow lit the path ahead. Her hands shook as she walked. She kept looking back, worried the soldiers would appear at any second. "Why are they here?" she whispered. "Why do they want me?" Jace breathed slowly, trying to keep calm. "We need to reach the lower tunnels," he said. "They won't be able to scan us down there." But Lyra didn't stop asking, "Why me?" She whispered again, her voice small and afraid. Jace did not answer. Not yet. He needed more time. They reached a narrow part of the tunnel. Jace crawled through first, then pulled Lyra after him. Behind them, glowing red lights moved through the darkness. The alien soldiers were scanning the walls. Searching, hunting, Lyra covered her ears as the scanners made a sharp sound. It was like the machines were calling her name. Jace pushed her forward. "Hurry," he whispered. "We are almost safe." But Lyra wasn't listening. Her heart felt heavy. Her thoughts were loud. She felt something inside her, something she didn't understand, something she feared. As they moved deeper, the tunnel opened into a huge underground chamber. Stone pillars reached up to the ceiling. Blue symbols glowed on the walls like stars. Lyra stepped forward, mesmerized. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Jace watched her with a worried expression. The symbols grew brighter with every step she took. The chamber seemed to wake up because she had arrived. "Jace," Lyra said softly. Her voice echoed strangely in the large room. "What is this place?" Jace lowered his head. "I think these ruins were made by your people," he said. Lyra turned quickly. "My people?" Jace sighed. He knew he could not hide the truth much longer. "Yes, your real people," he said. "The ones who created you." Lyra felt a sharp pain in her chest. She stepped back from him. "You mean the aliens out there?" she asked. Her voice trembled. Jace shook his head. "No, Lyra," he said. "Not them. Someone else." Lyra hugged herself, confused and scared. "Then who am I?" she whispered. Jace walked closer to her, but did not touch her. "I found you when you were a baby," he said. "You were inside a glowing pod, hidden inside a broken lab on a far planet." Lyra's silver eyes widened. "You never told me this," she said. Jace nodded slowly. "I wanted to protect you," he said. "I wanted you to grow up feeling human, feeling safe." Lyra turned her face away. "But I'm not human," she whispered. Her voice sounded like it was breaking. Jace's voice softened. "You are more human than anyone I've ever known." Lyra looked back at the glowing symbols on the walls. They pulsed gently, as if breathing. She touched one. A warm light spread from her hand across the chamber. Suddenly the room hummed. The floor lit up in bright lines. A map appeared on the walls, floating in the air. Lyra gasped. "What is this?" Jace stared with wide eyes. I don't know, he whispered. But I think the ruins are responding to you. The map shifted, showing planets, stars, and alien structures. The picture zoomed in on a baby inside a crystal pod. Lyra stepped closer. That's me, she said, her voice shaking. Jace felt cold in his chest. It's a recording, he muttered. The map changed again. Now it showed scientists standing around the same pod. Their bodies glowed like Lyra's. Their eyes were silver like hers. Lyra touched the image. Are these my real people? She whispered. Jace swallowed hard. Yes, he said. I think they created you for something important. Before Lyra could ask more. The chamber shook violently. Rocks fell from the ceiling. Jace grabbed Lyra and pulled her behind a pillar as dust filled the air. The deep metallic roar returned, louder than before. The armies were breaking into the lower tunnels. They were getting closer, far closer than Jace had expected. Lyra clutched Jace's arm. They're coming, she whispered. Jace nodded. I know, he said, but we will keep moving. He guided her toward a hidden passage behind the glowing map. The air inside was cold and smelled ancient. Lyra kept looking over her shoulder. She could hear footsteps now. Voices, short metallic commands. The soldiers were inside the chamber. Jace stopped suddenly and looked at Lyra. We can escape, he said. But I need you to trust me. Lyra stared into his eyes. Her fear mixed with confusion. Did you ever lie to me? She asked. Her voice was small but strong. Jace froze. His heart ached. I hid the truth, he said. But I never lied about loving you. Lyra's eyes softened for a moment, but the moment was short. A bright red laser beam shot past them, hitting the wall behind them. The soldiers had entered the chamber. Their weapons glowed in the dark. Their voices filled the room. Target detected, one said. Prepare capture, said another. Lyra grabbed Jace's hand tightly, her voice trembling. What do we do? Jace took a deep breath. We run, he whispered. And we survive. He pulled her forward, just as the soldiers opened fire behind them. Red beams of light cut through the darkness as Jace pulled Lyra deeper into the hidden passage. The air shook with every blast, and rocks fell from the ceiling like rain. Lyra tried to keep up, but her legs felt heavy. Her heart pounded fast. Her glowing skin flickered like a weak flame. Jace, she whispered breathlessly. They're too close. Jace didn't look back. I know, he said, but we keep moving, behind them. The alien soldiers shouted orders. Their footsteps echoed through the huge chamber they had just escaped. Lyra could hear their armored boots hitting the ground. Closer and closer. Jace pushed open a stone door hidden in the wall. Inside was another tunnel, but this one was different. It was brighter, smooth, almost alive. Strange lines of blue energy pulsed through the walls like veins. Lyra touched one of the glowing lines. Immediately, the tunnel reacted. Symbols flashed, lights moved. A deep hum filled the air. Jace grabbed her hand. Don't touch anything, he whispered quickly, but the tunnel had already awakened. The lights followed Lyra's movement as if they recognized her. Jace felt his stomach tighten. Why does everything react to you? He muttered. Lyra looked at him with frightened eyes. I don't know. I'm scared. Her voice shook. And I keep hearing something? A voice calling my name. Before Jace could answer, the tunnel behind them exploded. Soldiers stormed in, firing beams of red and white energy. Jace grabbed Lyra and sprinted down the glowing corridor. The tunnel curved sharply, leading them into a wide circular room. Inside the room were large stone walls covered in glowing symbols. And in the middle stood a tall crystal pillar. It pulsed gently like a heartbeat. Lyra froze. I know this place, she whispered, but she didn't know how or why. Jace scanned the room for an exit. There, he said, pointing to another passage. But as they moved, the crystal pillar lit up even brighter. A warm beam of light shot toward Lyra and wrapped around her gently. Like a ribbon of pure energy, Lyra gasped and floated inches above the ground. Jace rushed toward her, but an invisible force pushed him back. He hit the wall hard. "Lyra!" he shouted. Her body glowed brighter and brighter until her entire outline looked like fire made of starlight. The room began to shake. Rocks cracked, dust fell. Images flickered around her like holograms made of memories. A baby floating in a crystal pod. Silver-eyed scientists speaking in a language Jace didn't know. A galaxy map marked with symbols. And then a picture of Lyra grown older, surrounded by armies kneeling before her. Lyra screamed in fear. "Turn it off. I don't want this." The energy burst outward from her in a huge wave. It shot through the room and down the tunnels. The shock wave threw the soldiers backward like rag dolls. Some hit walls, some dropped their weapons. Some were knocked unconscious. Jace crawled toward Lyra as the light faded. She fell into his arms, shaking and crying. "I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to hurt anyone," she sobbed. Jace held her tightly. "It's not your fault," he whispered. "It's your power. But we will learn to control it." But Lyra didn't feel in control at all. Inside her mind, the strange voice whispered again. "Catalyst. Awaken." She covered her ears and shook her head. "Make it stop," she whispered. "Please make it stop." Jace carried her to the next passage as footsteps sounded again behind them. The soldiers had recovered and were moving in slowly. More cautious now, more afraid, they spoke in their harsh alien language. Jace understood only one word repeated by all of them. "Capture." Lyra lifted her head weakly. "Why won't they leave me alone?" Jace answered honestly this time. "Because you're important to them," he said. "But they don't want to protect you. They want to control you." Lyra felt a chill run through her. "I don't want to be a weapon," she whispered. Jace nodded. "You won't be," he said firmly. "Not while I'm alive," before they could continue. The tunnel split into 3 paths. Jace hesitated, unsure which one to take. But the glowing symbols on the walls lit up again. This time forming arrows pointing toward the center path. Lyra touched Jace's sleeve. "I think it wants us to go that way," she said softly. Jace didn't trust the ruins' intelligence. But they had no time. The soldiers arrived at the tunnel split. Their red lights flickered on the walls. Jace took Lyra's hand and sprinted down the middle path. The new passage led them to another large room, but this one was different. The walls were covered in ancient carvings showing huge battles. Monsters, ships, planets exploding, and at the center of every carving, a small figure glowing like a star. Lyra stepped closer. It was her, or someone just like her. "Jace," she whispered, her voice filled with fear and wonder. "What if I was made to end everything?" Before Jace could answer, the ceiling burst open with a deafening crash. A massive alien machine descended from above, its metal claws glowing with electricity, its single red eye locked onto Lyra. A deep robotic voice echoed, "Target found." Jace grabbed Lyra, pushing her behind him. His voice was firm, low, and ready to fight. "No," he said, "you're not taking her." The machine raised its weapon, and the entire room lit up with a blinding flash. The blinding light filled the whole chamber. Jace covered his eyes. Lyra held onto his arm, her body trembling. For a moment, everything felt frozen. No sound, no movement, only light. Then, slowly, the light faded. Jace opened his eyes. The giant alien machine that had attacked them was no longer standing. It lay on the ground, broken in half. Electric sparks jumped from its metal body. Lyra was breathing fast. Her hands glowed bright blue. Her eyes shone like silver suns. Did I do that? She whispered. Her voice was soft and afraid. Jace pulled her behind a stone pillar. Yes, he said in a low voice. But that power is dangerous, Lyra. Lyra hugged herself. I didn't mean to use it. It just happens when I'm scared. Before Jace could answer, the glowing symbols on the far wall lit up again. This time brighter than before. A pathway opened behind the carvings. A soft wind blew from the passage, carrying a faint whisper. Come. Lyra turned toward the whisper. You heard that too? She asked. Jace hesitated. I didn't hear anything, he said. But something is calling you. Lyra stepped forward slowly. Her fear mixed with curiosity, pulling her toward the hidden passage. Jace followed, staying close behind her. The tunnel opened into a wide chamber filled with tall crystal pillars. The pillars shone with shifting light blue. Purple, gold. They hummed gently, like they were alive. Lyra's face softened as she stepped closer. They feel warm, she whispered. Jace stayed alert, scanning the room for danger. In the center of the chamber stood a large circular platform. The floor was covered in ancient symbols. Lyra stepped onto it without thinking. The entire room lit up instantly. The crystals glowed bright. The ground vibrated. And then a hologram appeared. A tall, silver-eyed woman with the same glowing skin as Lyra. Lyra gasped. She looks like me. She whispered. Jace stared with wide eyes. The hologram spoke in a soft voice. A language Jace didn't understand, but Lyra understood every word. Child of the stars, the hologram said. You were created for a purpose. Lyra's heart raced. What purpose? She asked. The hologram shifted, showing a galaxy burning in war. Armies fighting, planets destroyed, creatures fleeing into darkness. Our people saw the future, the hologram continued. A great war that no army could win. We created one child, one hope. You, Lyra shook her head quickly. I don't want to be a weapon. She cried. The hologram woman looked sad. You were never meant to be a weapon, she said. You were meant to stop destruction. To calm the fire, not create it. Jace stepped forward. So all these armies chasing her. They think she's a tool for war? The hologram turned toward him. Yes, she said. They misunderstand her power. Lyra hugged herself tightly. Her voice cracked. Why did you leave me alone? The hologram softened. We did not abandon you, she said. You were hidden to protect you, but the enemy found us. Images appeared of scientists carrying Lyra's baby pod. Running, hiding, explosions, fire everywhere. Jace's breath caught in his throat. He saw himself in the hologram, pulling the pod from the burning lab, holding baby Lyra as everything collapsed behind him. Lyra stared at him, shocked. You were there. Jace lowered his head. Yes, he said quietly. I found you, and I chose to raise you. Lyra stepped closer to him, her voice trembling. Why didn't you tell me? Jace swallowed. I wanted you to have a normal childhood, he whispered. I wanted you to live without fear. Lyra reached out and touched his hand gently, her face soft and full of confusion. Are you my real father? Jace felt his heart ache. No, he said honestly. But I am the father who raised you, and I love you more than anything. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. Not of pain, but of relief. She leaned her forehead against his arm. You're my father, she whispered softly. And I don't care who made me. Before Jace could reply, the chamber shook violently. Crystals cracked. The hologram flickered. Warning symbols flashed everywhere. They have found you, the hologram said quickly. All 3 armies are coming. Jace grabbed Lyra's hand. We need to go, he said, but the hologram raised a hand. One last truth, she said. Your power is not complete, but it will soon awaken fully. Lyra's body glowed automatically. "I don't want it," she whispered. The hologram's voice softened. "You cannot choose power. But you can choose how to use it." The chamber shook again. Harder this time. Explosions sounded above them. Dust fell in thick clouds. Jace pulled Lyra toward the exit, but before leaving, Lyra looked back at the fading hologram. "Will I destroy everything?" she asked. The hologram smiled sadly. "No," she said. "Only you can decide what you become." The hologram vanished, the last piece of Lyra's past disappearing with it. As Lyra and Jace escaped through the collapsing chamber, the walls cracked open behind them. And through the cracks they saw shadows of soldiers climbing down the ruins. The armies had finally arrived. All of them, all at once. The final battle was coming. And Lyra's destiny was waiting for her. The ground shook under Jace and Lyra's feet as they ran through the collapsing tunnel. Rocks fell from above. Dust filled the air. And the walls cracked open with loud, thunder-like sounds. Behind them, the ancient chamber collapsed completely. The crystal pillars shattered into pieces of blue light. The last trace of Lyra's past disappeared under the crashing stone. But there was no time to stop, no time to cry, no time to breathe, because the 3 alien armies had finally arrived. Not one, not two, but all 3, the Krell, the Vorn, and the Serati, together, marching through the ruins with weapons glowing and ready to fire. Jace pulled Lyra behind a broken column and looked out carefully. His heart dropped. Hundreds of soldiers filled the cave. Some climbing over fallen rock, some taking positions with long rifles, others readying huge machines the size of tanks. Lyra held onto Jace's arm tightly, her small hand shaking. "Jace, I don't want to fight," she whispered. "I just want to live." Jace placed his hand gently over hers. "You will live," he said. "And I will protect you." But even he knew the truth. There were too many soldiers, too many weapons, too many armies. One wrong move, one wrong step, and she would be taken forever. Lyra pressed her forehead against his arm, tears forming in her glowing silver eyes. "I don't want to be alone again," she whispered. Jace lifted her chin. "You never will be," he said softly. "Not while I'm here." Before they could speak more, a deep metallic voice echoed across the chamber. "Target detected." Searchlights from armored drones turned toward their hiding place. Red beams locked onto Lyra's glowing outline. Every soldier in the ruins raised their weapons at once. Jace stepped in front of her, ready to fight even though he knew he couldn't win. He whispered without looking back, "When I tell you, run." But Lyra grabbed the back of his shirt. "No," she said. "I won't leave you." The armies moved closer, slow, steady, confident. The ground vibrated with the weight of their armored boots. The air buzzed with the sound of weapon cores powering up. Lyra looked around desperately. She did not want to hurt anyone, but she also did not want her father to die. The ancient voice inside her mind whispered again, soft but powerful, "Catalyst. Choose your path." Lyra took a deep breath and stepped out from behind the pillar. Jace grabbed her hand, panic rising in his voice. "Lyra, no!" But she pulled forward gently. "It's okay," she said. "I'm not running anymore." All 3 armies stopped. Hundreds of weapons aimed at her glowing body. The air felt heavy. Even time felt slower. Lyra stood tall, her silver eyes shining like stars, her hands glowing with a soft blue light. A Serati commander pointed at her. "Submit or be terminated," he shouted. Lyra didn't move. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. Instead, she whispered one quiet sentence. "I don't want to destroy you." The soldiers hesitated, confused. Then Lyra closed her eyes, her breath slow and steady. And suddenly, the entire cave lit up in a brilliant burst of blue-white energy. The shockwave spread out from her like a giant wave of light, but this time it wasn't violent. It wasn't meant to harm. It was calm, soft, warm. The energy washed over the soldiers like a peaceful wind. Their weapons shut down, their machines powered off. Their armor lights flickered and went dark. Every soldier froze in place, not paralyzed, just unable to fight. Unable to raise their weapons, unable to feel anger. For the first time, they felt peace. Lyra floated into the air, her body glowing brighter than ever before. Her hair moved like it was underwater. Her voice echoed with power that touched every heart in the room. "No more war," she said. "No more fighting. Not for me? Not for anyone." The armies dropped their weapons. One by one, soldiers kneeled, not in fear, but in awe. Jace watched with tears in his eyes, not because he was afraid, but because he finally understood. Lyra wasn't a weapon, she wasn't made for war. She was made to stop it. Slowly, the glow around Lyra faded. Her body lowered gently back to the ground, her knees buckled from exhaustion. And she collapsed, right into Jace's arms. He held her tightly, his voice breaking. "I've got you," he whispered. "I'm here." Lyra opened her eyes weakly. "Are they gone?" Jace nodded softly. "They're not fighting anymore." Lyra smiled faintly, her voice barely a whisper. "You are my father." Jace felt his heart break and heal at the same time. He hugged her close. "I always will be," he said, "no matter what," as he carried her out of the ruins. The alien armies stood aside, lowering their heads in respect. None dared stop him. Outside, the sky was finally calm, and Lyra rested peacefully in his arms, knowing she had chosen her path, not as a weapon, but as hope. Hope for every world. Hope for every life. Hope for a future without war. Humanity had given her a father, and she had given the galaxy peace. And that was the end of her first chapter, but the beginning of her true destiny.